Hello everyone. Today I'm going to introduce some things that you might don't know about yoga before. In my presentation, I will talk about some brief introduction, and then I'll talk about the origin, history, and development, and some of the modern factions of yoga, and I'll share some simple practices for you, and you can do it at home, maybe if you want to. Okay, first, I'll give a brief introduction. Before I start, let me clarify some stereotypes or bias that you might have to yoga. We all know yoga is regarded as a simple exercise. However, is it just boring stretching and breathing? Or is it an exercise just for super flexible, skinny, or young people? Probably not exactly. However, is it a kind of commercial product and industry? A spiritual discipline? How about a religious practice and a path to enlightenment? Is it a disciplined way of being and acting in the world, or a technique for reaching higher realm of consciousness? Reaching a higher realm of consciousness sounds exaggerated, but in fact, these are all yogas. In the modern world, yoga has gradually become more and more popular among all the ages. On the street and around the world, we can see yoga studios and professional yoga classes. And yoga industry has increasing rapidly. And some of the actors, singers, and athletes all maintain their body shape and health through practicing yoga. And yoga training has become a routine schedule to the soldiers in the troops, and combined with medical science, studies about how to prevent injuries and improve body functions was increasing about yoga. However, yoga is not only a fitness exercise. In fact, yoga is an ancient philosophy series. Ancient Indians believed that yoga is a way to achieve the harmony and unity of body and your mind. They believe that by regulating their breath and exercising their body, they could reach a higher realm of consciousness. However, more than an exercise, yoga is more like a theory. Actually, among the 6 major theories in ancient India, yoga is one of them, and the knowledge of yoga has become an important culture of Indians since then. In the second part, I will introduce how yoga was developed. Yoga has a history for over 5,000 years old. Since it is so ancient that no one knows exactly what's its origin or who invented it, since there are no any world records, until the appearance of Rig Vedas. Vedas in Indian means knowledge, and Rig Vedas is one of the earliest human classes that records the ancient Indian lives. In Rig Vedas, yoga is a part of them, and the term refers to bind, to harness, to concentrate. And in Rig Vedas, it was illustrated that the ancient Indian has been practicing yoga for thousands of years. In 300 BC, the famous yoga sage Patanjali assembled all the knowledges and exercise he heard or saw, and assembled the Yoga Sutra. The Yoga Sutra is the foundation of all the yoga exercise, and it is the most important theoretical classics. In Yoga Sutra, Patanjali illustrated that what's the benefits of yoga, the content of yoga, and what the methods to practice yoga. It determines the 8 limb system. What is the 8 limb system? The 8 limb systems means the 8 methods to practice yoga. The first one is yama, means you control your external behaviors. Then, on the contrary, yama means control your internal behaviors. They are the foundation. And then asanas means postures. This is also the most popular ways to practice yoga that we see in today's culture. Along with asanas is pranayama. means you do breathing functions while along with doing postures. Then Pratyahala means you control your soul and control your inner feelings in your heart. Dhyana means you concentrate, while Dhyana means meditation. Last but not least, Samadhi means you relieve from all of your from the distractions around you and reach a realm beyond consciousness. Samadhi is also the goals of practicing yoga. Patanjali is so important because he is the first one ever to complete a whole yoga system. Therefore, Patanjali was recognized as the ancestor of yoga. After the next hundreds of years, yoga was increasingly popular and became the biggest event in Indian culture among the Brahminism. As the Brahminism became the major religion in India. However, in about 5th century, the Buddhism replaced Brahminism and became the major religion. In Buddhism, they regard yoga as the tantras and abandonment. What's worse, in about 8th century, the Muslims ruled the land of India, and Muslims regard yoga as heresy. They banned yoga from practicing, and yogis has no choices but to went into the Himalayas, the origin of yogas, and the Himalayas was also recognized as the shelter of all the yogis. Since the appearance of Buddhism, yoga has not been a major activity and not welcomed in India until in about 18th century, when the Great Britain and the Empire of India take turns ruled India. And the Brahminism combined with all the other some minor religions and formed the Hinduism. And yoga revived to the world, to the public. And in the 19th century, Eastern philosophies attract the attention of Western countries. And some grandmasters like Swami Vivekananda, he spread the concepts and knowledges of yoga to America. Swami Vivekananda only emphasized the mind part, which is meditation, and the concept of yoga became popular in America. In about 1960s, another grandmaster, Tirumalai, taught the knowledge of yoga postures to the America, and formed what we call today yoga studio and yoga classes. Compared with philosophy theories, Western countries seem to more emphasize on some of the physical aspects of yoga. Therefore, some medical science like anatomy and physiology was increasing for the research of yoga. Thanks to these two grandmasters, yoga was rapidly spread through the world and became a popular event everywhere, including Taiwan. Through the 5,000 years of history of yoga, a lot of factions has been developed, and the factions are so much that I can talk about all of them. Therefore, I pick up the 6 factions to introduce that we see that is very popular in today's yoga classes or yoga studios. The first one is Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga is recognized as the most common and most ancient, and this is also the foundation of all the other yoga factions. Though Hatha Yoga pay attention to improving your balance and your body health by doing simple postures while breathing at the same time. Yoga as the basic of all the other yogas, Hatha Yoga is suitable for all ages, and if you are a beginner, it is very easy for you to do, and you can practice anytime. The second one is restorative yoga. Compared with other yoga, restorative yoga is more joyful, gentle, and less intensive than other yoga postures. It doesn't have a lot of poses to do. All you need to do is to try to relieve your stress in a more peaceful, warm, and dark environment. The effect will be better if you adopt some scented candles to help you relax. Restorative yoga is suitable for all ages, and you can use it to relieve your stress after like studying stress, you can or work stress. The third one is Iyengar yoga. Iyengar yoga emphasizes putting the correct placement of physiological structure and to improve the functions of bones and your muscles. Iyengar yoga really is important to do the accurate postures, and sometimes the postures are so creative that you might need some equipment for assistance, like the band of the chair or the cushions. It is especially suitable for beginners if your body is too stiff to do other poses. It helps to improve your body softness. The fourth, then we had Bikram Yoga, or you can call it Heat Yoga. Bikram Yoga is a new factions of yoga, which just invented not long ago, and was quickly spread to America, China, and Taiwan. And it became the popular trend for young people who wants to practice yoga. Bikram Yoga pays attention to the movements of twisting, bending, and stretching to improve the body metabolism and promote detoxification and blood circulation. Bikram Yoga consists of only 26 fixed poses. While doing Bikram Yoga, you need to the yoga classroom needs to be controlled. The temperature needs to be controlled in about 36 to 40 degrees Celsius, which is why we call it heat yoga. Then Ashtanga yoga pays attention to the continuous movements of postures in order to deepen your concentration. Therefore, since the poses in Ashtanga yoga is much more difficult, you need more muscle endurance and body tenacity, and also strength. Therefore, it's better for you to have some basics to try this yoga factions. Last but not least, we had Raja Yoga. Like its name, Raja Yoga is like the king of all the other yoga factions. It is recognized as the most integrated and the most systematic yoga factions. Besides paying attention to poses and breathing functions, Raja Yoga also pays attention to concentration, meditation, and even samadhi. In the Yoga Sutra, Patanjali illustrates that Raja Yoga wouldn't be suitable for the weak, since it's for people who want to reach a higher level of yoga. If you want to try Raja Yoga, it's better for you to have some basics, and it's not applicable if you're a beginner. Now, after I introduce the 6 yoga factions, which of the one is that you want to try? For me, I want to try the Iyengar yoga because because I think using equipment it become more interesting, and that is what I saw of the image of me when doing yoga. Yeah, and now after the next part, I will share some simple practices that you can do, and all the poses I introduced comes from Hatha Yoga. I mentioned the most simple and the most common one. It's very easy and you can practice easily. The first one is child's pose. Child's pose. When you do child's pose, you need to bend your knee. You need to take care to stretch your neck spine and your hips. It's a good pose that you can do while to refocus or concentrate on the next task when after studying or working. However, you should try to avoid this move if you have some knee injuries, ankle problems, high blood pressure, or pregnancy. That's not possible maybe. And if you think it's a little bit hard or not easy for you, you could try to rest your head on a cushion if you feel it's not comfortable, or place a towel under your ankles if you have too much pressure on your ankle. While doing this move, you should try to relax the muscles of your spine and lower your back along with your breathing functions. The second move is a tree pose. While doing tree pose is to work on your balance and your concentration. However, you should avoid it if you have low blood pressure, medical condition that affects your balance, or you might fall. It's dangerous. If you think it's hard for you to balance, you can try to place one of your hands off the wall for assistance, and you should be mindful to focus on your breath while handling it. The third move is Cobra Post. The Cobra Post is to strengthen your muscles at the back and your tummy. You should avoid it if you have some low back injury, arthritis, and some carpal tunnel syndrome. Means like your wrist, it will be some blood pressure in your carpal tunnel. While doing this move, you should try to just lift out a few inches, not so high, and don't try to straighten your arms or to hand there. And be mindful to keep your navel drawing up away from the floor at least. The last move is a bridge pose. The bridge pose helps you open the muscles in your upper chest. However, you should skip it if you have some neck injury, since the pose gives you a lot of pressure on your neck. If you think it's a little bit hard for you, you can try to place a block between your thighs or under your pelvis. And be mindful to keep your chest lifted and your sternum toward your chin. In this way, you can the 4 poses can help you relieve your stress, and it's easy. Do you want to try?
Now?
Why not?
No.
Why not? Okay. So that's the end. The 4 poses, among the 4 poses, I will often do the Cobra pose because sometimes my tummy the muscles in my tummy are sore. Because sometimes. So I will do that. Yeah, wouldn't you do that? After the high intensive practices like the PE class. Yeah, the teachers will ask us to do that. So yoga is everywhere in our daily life. And that's the end of my presentation today.